Hey kids, it's Mr. Fly here, hope you're well, and welcome back to Bike News, the monthly episode here on the channel where I take a look back at what's been going on in the world of motorcycles here in the UK for the last month. This time, it's for the month of October 2023, so if you're interested in that, stick around and stay tuned. Okay, so welcome back to Bike News. A little bit of a shorter one than usual actually, because I've been away for the last month, of which more later, and in fact I've only got 2 MCNs to go through. We can talk about why that might be, as I say, a bit later when we do Parish Notices, but for now, let's crack on with the news. Right, so first story here is a century in the making. This is the new BMW R1300 GS. This has been all over the internet. You cannot have missed the launch of this. Lots of people have been asking me when am I going to ride the new R1300 GS. I haven't even seen one for real yet, I have to say. That is because I've been away for the last month. So lots of people have asked me, as I say, that's the reason I've not been on it. So nothing sinister. I do intend to ride one, but I'm going to wait for the some of the initial fuss to die down, but hopefully I'll get to ride one soon. Anyway, the bike is out there now in the wild. They're in dealers. You can go and have a look at them. You can demo ride them. In fact, I even know some people that have ordered them and have already received the bike, so they are out and about there. And by all accounts, if you've seen the reviews as I have, then they're all you know, they're getting massive plaudits everywhere. Everybody's saying that the bike is better in every way. I guess the only thing for me still is to see what it's like in the flesh, because I'm still not quite sure about the looks, but it is starting to grow on me, I must say. And let's face it, when the last version of the GS came out, everybody said, oh, it doesn't look like a GS, and over time it grew on us, and they you know, at the time they didn't seem particularly handsome, but now I do quite like the looks of them. So perhaps this will have the same effect, and as I say, certainly the plaudits have been good so far. But this paper, this was just after the details had come out and before it had been ridden, so we'll go into a ride review in a minute on the later paper. But just a couple of highlights. You'll probably know this already anyway, but I'll just do it for completeness. The power now, 143.5 brake horsepower, so it's up quite significantly actually over my old 1200 GS and also over the outgoing 1250. Torque is up to 110 foot-pounds, weight is down at 237 kilograms, seat height 850mm, although it's very variable, all sorts of options on seats. And the price is, if you want the TE version, which is, let's face it, is the one that most people here in the UK are going to have, 18,465. But even that, if you start to spec it up, it comes out at, you know, I spec one up the other day on the configurator, which you can do on the BMW website. The one I wanted came out around about 23.5 grand, so it's a lot of money for the bike, but by all accounts, a good bike. It says here, the entry-level R1300 GS will cost from 15,990, while the higher spec TE will be 18,465, we just said. However, even on the TE model, many of the flagship features will come at an additional cost. And this is BMW always do this, bit sneaky. So listen to some of these. So if you want the adaptive, if you want the radar assistance and plus the blind spot monitoring, which I suggest you probably would want, that will cost you, on top of the TE cost, 760 quid. If you want the comfort package, which includes the adaptive height control, so that the bike lowers when you stop, which is a shorty, I'd probably want that. That comes in at 490 quid, I think, or sorry, the adaptive height control is 490, the comfort package another 480. So on top of the TE price, just there is another nearly 2 grand. So as I say, yeah, 21 grand just to get to the sort of spec, the basic spec that you'd expect to get. So you've got to look into the prices carefully. There's all sorts of customization you can do on the new bikes, as I say, to tailor it exactly as you want. So check out the BMW website for full details. But more on the GS in a minute, and more when I actually get to ride one. So that will be coming to you. I'm just kind of waiting for this initial hype to die down before I go into it, because I want to go into it in a bit more depth if I can, as a bit of a GS fanboy. Right, next story here, scrambling for the masses. Triumph announced affordable new Scrambler 1200 alongside the updated XE. Now, I love a Scrambler, me. I always liked the Triumph Scrambler 1200, but for me, I borrowed one a few years ago. Lovely bike, but just a bit too tall and a little bit too top heavy, so certainly I couldn't ride it off-road. I'm glad to say they seem to have addressed that by making a shorter version as well. So let's see what it says here. Triumph are bidding to make the Scrambler 1200 range more appealing to a wider range of customers for 2024, introducing a new lower and cheaper X model, that's the one for me, to sit alongside the revamped, more rugged XE variant. The 1200cc twin-cylinder engine produces just shy of 90 brake horsepower. An update on the existing motor now features a revised 50mm single throttle body, apparently designed to improve flow as well as deliver broader wedge of torque from 5,000 RPM upwards. Peak power of 89 brake horsepower now arrives slightly earlier, down by 250 RPM to 7,000 RPM. You're probably not going to notice that. The pair of bikes also get different handlebars, with the XE getting 65mm wider to assist off the beaten track, and focusing on the X model, which is the cheaper one, Triumph have cut the on-the-road price by £800 compared to the outgoing model, which is pretty good. Don't often cut the price, do they? So well done, Triumph. Seat height has also dropped to 820mm and can be further shaved to 795. Now, 795mm is actually quite a low seat height, so that is great news. The more expensive XE is also down £400 on the current model. So well done, Triumph, for reducing the prices generally. Well done for listening to customer feedback and making a shorter model for us shorties. I'll love a go at this. When this one gets on the press fleet at Triumph, which I suspect will probably not be until that next March. Hopefully I'll get my hands on this. As I say, I love a scrambler. This sort of bike is right up my street. Love to see how the slightly lower one feels. So good news from Triumph there if you, like me, like a scrambler. Right, Desert X. Desert Extra, very good. Ducati reveal long anticipated rugged Desert X Rally for 2024. Now this is a bike that in the past, when it was first revealed, I said I didn't much like the look of. I said that I don't like Dakar-esque bikes, and I got a lot of criticism for saying that last Bike News, because then everybody said, "Oh, you've got a GS that's Dakar-esque." Well, I don't kind of mean that. I mean the sort of up front, high up front, as if it's got a road book type Dakar look. Having said that though, looking at this Desert X now, I have to say that's starting to grow on me as well. Maybe it's weird, isn't it, how familiarity makes you appreciate things more. And I'm thinking this particular variant, the Rally, is looking pretty attractive now. So what does it say? Ducati have pulled the covers off a brand new Desert X Rally model, which builds on the standard 14795 retro adventurer to become a serious off-road rally raider, and takes the price to 18,995. So 19 grand now for the Desert X Rally. Does look nice. I'm sure it's very good off-road, but that's starting to put it, isn't it, encroaching on that GSTE territory that we just talked about. Now, I know it's a very different bike to the GS, but that's quite a lot of money, isn't it, for this sort of bike, I think. But it is a Ducati, and it does look lovely. It says here, new red, grey and white Iron Giant livery, a taller and longer front mudguard, carbon steel spoke rims are also apparently provided by Takasago XL. I've never heard of them, but I'm sure they make great rims. The suspension has been changed, swapping the standard KYB hardware for a more off-road focus arrangement. Aluminium swing armors, new attachment point with an adjustable Öhlins steering damper up the front. The Desert X Rally now enjoys a ground clearance that's 30mm more than the standard bike. So if you are serious about your off-road adventure riding, this is something very much to look at. I think it's a handsome looking bike now. I think I've changed my mind. I reserve the right to change my mind on these things. Looks are all subjective anyway, aren't they? Absolutely works in that paint scheme. But yeah, maybe a little bit pricey. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Okay, next up, couldn't miss this one because it's a Goldwing story, and as you know, if you watched my channel before, I am a fan of the Goldwing. Having said that, I'm only really a fan of Goldwings post-2018. Before that, they were just too lardy for my liking. But this is interesting, because what MCN do is keep an eye on patents so they can see what new innovations are coming up on bikes, and Honda have put in a new patent for this. See what you make of this. It says here, Honda are dialling rider comfort up to 11 with their next-gen Goldwing, which looks set to gain an auto-adjusting windscreen that uses clever sensors to make sure it's always in the perfect position. Revealed in a patent application, the system doesn't just make for a relaxing, hassle-free riding experience, but is instead tied into a wider voice operating system for other functions on the bike. The system includes the usual height actuators, but also a computer, a microphone, a set of cameras, all in pursuit of keeping the windscreen in just the right position at all times. Now, the reason I point this out is because there are a couple of things that strike me about this story. Number one, when you look at the patent diagrams here, it's actually on the older Lardia Goldwing. It's not on a post-2018. Presumably that's just for ease of putting the patent in. It doesn't really matter what bike they show it on, I suppose. But if ever there was a problem that I didn't think needed fixing, it's possibly this. I have a Goldwing DCT Tour, which is the bike that's pictured here in white. And I've never thought, what I really need is this screen to go up and down, so it's always in the perfect position. Now, in order to do that, it's had to have microphones, sets of cameras, and various sensors. I mean, that's going to add to the price, surely, and complexity of the bike. I just think this isn't something that needed to be done. I'll be very interested to hear your view on this. Again, it's only a patent application, it's not on the bike yet. And if those sensors and so on are used for other things too, then all well and good, I suppose. But the fact that it comes now with a wider voice operation system for other functions on the bike, that scares me. Anything where you have to talk to a bike or a car, in my experience, they never work very well. I get that voice recognition is getting a lot better these days. When you talk to your phone, that seems to always get it right, doesn't it? So, providing it's as good as your iPhone voice recognition, then it should be all right. But generally speaking, things like voice recognition on vehicles, I'm not sure I need that. I'm not sure I need the auto-adjusting windscreen. So for me, bit of a thumbs down this. Am I just being an old Luddite? I'd be very interested to hear your view again. Stick comments below on that one, whether I'm just being old-fashioned and a dinosaur. Right, last thing in this paper then, one from Talking Point, their letters page. Now this is about the 20 mph limit that's been brought in Wales. Let me read you this letter from Andrew Mortimer in Llandovery. He says, as a resident, I fully support the new 20 mph limit in Wales. On the rural roads that us bikers frequent, there is hardly any difference. Slowing down for the odd village here and there isn't the end of the world, particularly as they were 30 miles an hour before anyway. There's a common misconception that it's 20 miles an hour everywhere, but that is simply not true. I'm glad my village is now 20 miles an hour. It makes it a much more pleasant and safe place, particularly when people actually slow down. So interesting to hear another view. I had quite a few comments on this after the last bike news, and most people seem to think 20 miles an hour wasn't a good move blanket across Wales, but of course it's not blanket. It's only in the villages, and as Andrew says, if it was 30 miles an hour before anyway, not such a big change. So I sort of agree here. I'm glad to see that Andrew thinks this is a good move, especially as he's a biker himself. I haven't yet ridden in Wales since this has come in to see what the difference is, so hopefully I'll do that fairly soon. Love riding in Wales, and it's I'm overdue a visit. Maybe I'll do one in the winter on my Kawasaki or something for fun, which would be a great fun thing to do, I think. And I'll check out how these 20 mph limits work for a sort of the occasional visitor, but certainly a resident here, Andrew, seems to think it's no big deal what we're all on about. So just an interesting counter view to what we were talking about in last bike news. All right, that's it for the first paper. Next up, moving forward a few weeks. Now I said I've only got 2 papers. That's because I've been away for the last month. I'll talk about why I've been away in Parish Notices in a minute. While I was away, I would have expected to have received at least another 3 MCNs. I got back and my daughters were at home the whole time I was away and said, oh, anyone seen my MCNs? And they claimed they never saw them. They didn't throw anything away. So I don't know, but in the past, I always get my MCNs on time. And in the past, I've only ever not got them when I've gone away and only my daughters are at home. So draw your own conclusions. Anyway, I only got 2 papers this month, so it isn't a shorter bike news, as I say. Anyway, here we have the next gen MT-09. Apparently it's go, it says here. Yamaha's popular 3-cylinder roadster gets a bold new facelift, fresh ergonomics and updated tech. And I have to say, I really like the look of this. The MT-09 always gets good reviews, doesn't it? And I rode one when they first came out and I liked it, but I didn't much like the look of the front of it. Well, this new front restyle I think looks pretty good. Maybe not so much on these pictures here, although the one on the top right here, head on, looks quite good. It's got a sort of it looks like it's got eyes that are narrowed down now rather than that stacked front headlight arrangement that it had. I think it looks good. Anyway, it says here, 10 years after the launch of the original, Yamaha have treated the popular naked triple to a new face, revised riding position and updated electronics, although the heart of the bike is unchanged. The rest of the 2024 MT-09 is virtually all new. Most obvious is the bodywork and styling, with new LED lights, sportier riding position, sharper steering geometry, uprated brakes, a new dash and switchgear, and extra tech, including cruise control. So lots of changes here. The new MT-09 will be available in 3 colours, Midnight Cyan, Icon Blue and Tech Black. Or to you and me, light blue, dark blue and black. You can see it at Motorcycle Live between November the 18th and 26th, but price and availability have yet to be revealed. So this is going to be one of the highlights of the NEC show, I'm sure, for people to see in the flesh. I think it looks like an improvement. Look forward to riding one of these when they're available to the likes of us YouTubers early next year, I imagine. So yeah, the MT-09 was good anyway. Looks like they've improved it. Be interesting to see what the pricing comes out like. Next up, less is more. This is another story from Triumph where they've changed their existing range, possibly for the better. Triumph trimmed back and add extra oomph to their popular Tiger 900 family. This is something of interest to me because I mentioned a few times now I was away for the last month, and I was away for the last month riding a Tiger 900. So it's a bike I know quite well. I've always been a big fan of their Tiger 900, and particularly I like the 850, which was the budget version. Well, I think that's gone now. Let's read what it says here. After more than 45,000 sales since its 2020 launch, Triumph have updated their Tiger 900 range by dropping the least popular bikes. Makes sense. And adding more power and some new tech. So what they've done now is the new range will be stripped back to a £12,195 Tiger 900 GT, a £13,895 GT Pro and a £14,495 Rally Pro. So that means that the standard Rally has gone, as have the dedicated low option models, which I think they're referring to the 850 there. So it's only 3 models available now. It says here power has now been upped by 13% to 106.5 brake horsepower, which sounds like a reasonable amount actually. That's probably noticeable. Torque has also climbed, sitting at a claimed 66 foot-pounds, with the added bonus of a claimed 9% improvement of fuel economy. So that's incredible. So it's more powerful, more torquey, and better fuel efficient. So whatever they've done, good move, Triumph. I like the sound of it, although I do lament the loss of the 850 slightly. So yeah, it looks good. I like the Triumph 900. Good on them to keep refining it. I think it's got a few sort of facelifts, some changes to the panels and things as well. So yeah, nice bike, the 900, and as I say, you'll be seeing more of that on the channel very soon. All right, next up, the Retro Rocket. Kawasaki surprised the world by bringing back a 400cc inline supersport, but can it keep up with its bigger capacity rivals? And in this case, they're talking about the Honda CBR650R, which I really enjoyed when I rode a while back, and the Yamaha R7, which I rode more recently. And again, I absolutely love that. Now, I didn't think I would like twin-cylinder sports bikes. To me, they should be screamers. So the Kawasaki, it's great news that they brought that out, and I'm looking forward to having a go again when they're available to the likes of us YouTubers. That would be great. Although what I would say, just looking at the three bikes, I think the Kawasaki is the least good looking. There's something about the styling they've done underneath the headlights where it looks sort of, I don't know, like he's got a beard or something. Not that there's anything wrong with having a beard. Many motorcyclists have beards, but I don't think the bike necessarily needs one. For me, the R7 is the best looking, followed by the Honda. But the Kawasaki may well be the most fun to ride, given it is a 4-cylinder. It's also middle of the price range, so the Yamaha comes in at nearly 9 grand, the Honda's 8.5, and the Kawasaki is 8.7, so sits smack bang in the middle. So take your choice there. Let's see what the verdict was. If I can find the right page. Here we go. The apple cart has been well and truly upset with the arrival of Kawasaki ZX-4RR. Not only is it agile, but that motor is addictive. Thanks to the sheer amount of go at the top end of the revs, which you'd expect from a 4-cylinder bike. The R7 is such an incredible road bike. The CBR650R is a pleasant offering, but this is the modern era of supersport machinery for the road, and nothing can beat the delight you feel pinging the ZX-4RR's 399cc inline 4 off its 16,000 RPM redline. So that's the fun one to have on the road. It gives the Kawasaki 4 out of 5, the Honda 3 out of 5, and the Yamaha R7 4 out of 5, but in the text it seems to be indicating that the Kawasaki is by far the most fun, which you would expect. But I think, for me, looks is such a big, important part of a bike, and the R7 just looks fantastic, and I really enjoyed riding that. So it'd be interesting to do a direct comparison between those two. But for, you know, less than 10 grand, you really can have a fun sports bike for the road. If you go more than this and you start getting the big liter bikes, they're so performant now. Pointless on the roads, in my view. Unless you're a big track day fan, these are the way to go. I'm convinced of it. So I think we're going to see a little bit of a resurgence of these, maybe, which is a good thing. All right, last but not least, I said I'd talk more about the new GS because MCN has now ridden it, and this is their first ride review. A couple of points they've said here. So the new BMW is in dealers now. It's the lightest, punchiest, most compact and powerful GS there's ever been. It's also the most expensive. It has a high level of standard equipment, a new face, and a bewildering array of extras. That's what I was talking about, the configurator. It's quite hard to work out what the various packs give you and exactly what you want. It's difficult to get to a point, I thought, when I looked at the configurator, of having exactly what you want and no more besides. So for example, if you want blind spot mirror, you have to have the radar cruise control. Kind of okay, we understood that because the two are the same technology, but it may not be the case that if you want the seat lowering thing, you might have to have another pack as well. It's that sort of thing that I'm talking about. Anyway, it says here, it's a case of honey, I shrunk the GS because despite its bigger engine, the new 1300 feels like a much smaller bike, and that is a good thing. One of the, well, it's a double-edged one, this, isn't it? The GS always had a certain road presence about it, particularly the GSA, the Adventure, and we're yet to see what the new Adventure looks like. I expect we've got a year to wait for that one. But one of the good things about the GS was it had such road presence, and it was big. But on the other hand, if you're a bit of old and weak like me, then it makes it harder to move around. Now, it's got a low centre of gravity, so that's good news. What will be interesting to see is whether this new bike is still easy to move around in the garage, because of course they've put the gearbox below the engine now, which means the engine will have moved up, which means that the centre of gravity actually will have moved higher. I think last month I said it would have gone lower. Well, if you think about it, that's untrue, so I made an error there, and a few of you pointed it out, so thank you for that. So if anything, the centre of gravity is going to be higher. If that means it's harder to move around the garage, that's a no-no for me, so I'm very keen to find that out. Now, none of the reviews I've seen yet have talked about that. They've all said it feels more agile and smaller when you're on it, but no one's actually moved it around a car park and said whether it feels top heavy compared to the old one or not that I've seen anyway. So that's one of the things I'm going to be focusing on when I review the bike. What is it like practically to live with? How easy is it to get in and out your garage? That sort of thing. What's it like with the pillion? How does it ride at night? all that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm going to do when I get my hands on one. Anyway, let's see what the verdict was for MCN after their first ride. And I have to say, like that Ducati, the more I see this, the more I'm getting used to it. I mean, it does look like a GS from the side. No problems with the side view. It's just that light that upset me when I first saw it, and the way the radar cruise control is set up. But the more I see it, the more it's growing on me, and I'm thinking, you know, maybe I can live with it. So, and again, everybody I've seen on the internet that have actually seen it for real have all said it looks better in the flesh than in the pictures. So I'm willing to be swung. Let's see what happens. Anyway, so it says here, Nevesy, my favourite reviewer in MCN, he says, it'll be hard to beat. Rather than offering a completely new experience, the GS is a bike for more riders to enjoy in more situations. It's still unlikely to be a KTM beater off-road, won't handle tarmac with the easy accuracy of the latest Triumph Tiger 1200, or be a superbike fast as a Ducati Multistrada V4. Instead, the new GS is a superb off-roader, tourer and scratcher, all rolled into one, and that'll take some beating. And that's always been the case with the GS, hasn't it? I've always maintained the GS is the best all-round motorcycle you can buy, and it sounds like it's got even better as the best all-round motorcycle you can buy. So yeah, looking forward to having a go on that. I'll bring you that as soon as I can, which may be a little while yet. It may be a month or two before you see that, but it is coming, don't worry, because very important bike for BMW and very important bike for me, frankly, because my BMW R1200 GS is just coming up to its 10th anniversary, would you believe? Had that bike for 10 years, thinking I might make a video to celebrate 10 years of it. When it's Christmas, that'll be its 10-year anniversary, and maybe it's a good time to swap it out, I don't know, but not that I've got any money to swap it out, but where there's a will, there's a way, isn't there? Anyway, that's it for the newspapers this time round, which means it's time for... You got it, Parish Notices. So let me tell you, well, a few bits of news, and then let me tell you what's coming up on the channel. So first off, what I must tell you is now the Adventure Bike Rider Festival next year. It's a fantastic event. I've been to it for about the last 3 years running. It's the only big biking event that I go to. I've had a few people ask me, am I going to the NEC, for example, this year? I've no plans to do so. I think it's next week or the week after. I just find it quite difficult to get into. It's quite, it's quite crowded, hard to get around. I just don't really like the NEC very much, so I have no plans to go unless somebody offers me a vast amount of money to go and stand on their stand. Then I'm not going, and even then I may not. So ABR Festival is the one that I like to go to and support. It's a great thing, and if you want a discount on your tickets, then if you use TMF5 now, when you check out, you'll get a 5% discount on your ticket. Now the tickets are quite expensive because it's an all weekend affair, so 5% is actually worth having, and you can use that 5% in conjunction with any other offers that ABR might be offering at that point. So TMF5, I'll stick a link below to the ABR Festival. If you go there and buy your tickets, get yourself some money off. So that's the first thing. Next thing that I wanted to say, you may have noticed at the start of this video, a slightly different intro. You know where I used to have the revvy sound of it was a Triumph Street Cup, is that engine noise you hear when my little Sting screen comes up. Well, I've now added a bit of music type thing over the top of it. That's from Jez Nash. Just wanted to say thanks to Jez, because he's built me a little jingles package that I'm going to start to feed into my videos from now on. So I've got a few videos in the can that haven't got that included, but over the next month or so you'll start to see and hear more of Jez's work. If you didn't see his the video we put together when he actually made a complete song out of just the noises of my motorcycles, then do go and watch that. It's not had massive views because it was about music rather than bikes, but if you're at all interested, I encourage you to go and look at that. It's a fascinating day I had with Jez, and he came up with a cracking tune at the end of it, so you'll be hearing more of that on the channel as I start to use parts of it as jingles as well. Next up, I mentioned about 15 times now what hadn't been around for the last month. That is because I was off recording our latest tour, which you're going to see starting in December actually, so you're not going to see it this month, but I put together a little promo for this tour. I thought I'd just play it to you now. We're going to take you through the sights and sounds that this amazing country has to offer. Everything from local hotels. So after one has enjoyed a hearty meal and made oneself comfortable in the facilities, it's time for the buzzing metropolises, amazing temples, beautiful views. Well, how about this for a photo stop? Bikes in front of Mount Fuji at sunset there. Motorcycle and food culture. Good.
basically everything you ever wanted to know about Japan, and a few things you didn't as well, probably.
Okay. It's oddly pleasant.
Hey kids, we're missing the flyers.
So what an absolutely fantastic, once-in-a-lifetime type trip riding a motorcycle to Japan is. Thoroughly enjoyed that last month, and there's going to be, well, I don't know how many episodes yet because I'm editing it as I speak. I've edited one episode so far. I think there's going to be probably between 6 and 10 episodes for that tour. So those of you that like my tour series, hopefully you're going to love this one. It's pretty epic and it's pretty special because we did stuff that normal tourists can't necessarily do. We stayed in traditional Japanese hotels, we ate traditional Japanese food, and it was a fascinating cultural experience. And I've tried to do as much off the bike as on, because I think that seems to work quite well. So, for example, I did a video, the last video that I posted up was a little Mallorca trip, a day trip that we did on the Vespa, and that's got great views and great feedback, and it's more, this new tour is a bit more like that. So hopefully you're going to enjoy that. As I say, not coming this coming month, but the month after, but want to show you the little promo video of that now, which is what I'm going to use on social media at the time to promote that tour. So that's coming up. And then just to let you know what's coming up for the rest of this month, again, I think I've got some fascinating videos coming up. I'm not sure how they'll do on views because it's you know, it's one of those things, if your thumbnails and your titles don't immediately grab people, your video doesn't get clicked on. So no matter how good your videos are, if they don't get clicked on, it don't get viewed. So these might fall into that category. It'd be a real shame if you do miss out on these, because basically I was invited down to the National Motor Museum down in Bewley to ride some really old motorcycles. And whilst there, also had a bit of a look around the museum with well, sort of behind the scenes access. It was just a fantastic day, and the sun was out. It was a beautiful day, and I recorded far more than I expected. I've actually got 3 episodes of that coming up. So the next video you will see is a sort of an intro to that series, a little 3-part series, I say, and then it's me riding some very old bikes, over 100 years old, and boy, are they tricky. Anyway, I'm pretty proud and pleased with the videos. Hopefully you'll like them too. So they're coming up. There's a video about storage on my Kawasaki. So again, last month I put up a video about installing panniers on my Speed Twin, my Triumph, and lots of people said, oh no, you don't want them, you want the SW Motec ones. So as it happens, I fitted some of those to my Kawasaki, and I got a video about that. That's coming up too. There may be some other stuff. Maybe I'll get a GS video up, I don't know, but stay tuned for some other stuff that's coming on the channel as well. Next bike news, hopefully with more newspapers to go through, is currently scheduled for November the 29th. So stick around and stay tuned for that. All right, hope you enjoyed that. That's bike news done for another month. Look forward to speaking to you again soon. Until then, this has been the Mist and Fly. Cheerio.
Hey kids, we're missing the flyers.